What's up, everyone? It's Brian from the Exact IT Solutions YouTube channel. Welcome to another video where we educate you about all things cybersecurity and how it relates to you in your everyday life, maybe your business, and just educating you and making sure that you're aware of what's going on out there and you can protect yourself. That's the goal of my channel. If you like us, hit the thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the thumbs down button, or don't watch our channel. Subscribe to us if you do. And here we go. Today's content, we're going to talk about cybercrime and where cybercrime is today and where it's going. And maybe you don't realize that it's the biggest criminal activity on the planet right now. So we're going to dig into an article that I found that talks about an FBI agent who goes into some interesting details about what cybercrime is today, what it looks like. I think you're going to be surprised. I think it's eye-opening on how prevalent this is and how important it is, and you need to be aware of it. So let's dive into it. Let's get into the content for today. So we got a interesting article here, guys, from the Iowa Capitol Dispatch. And I heard about these statistics before, that cybercrime has now become the #1 criminal activity on the planet. It has now succeeded the drug trade, which is pretty freaking mind-blowing if you really think about it. But cybercrime, all the different ways that cyber criminals can exploit people, steal money, ruin businesses, steal resources, like with crypto mining and malware type mining, where they can steal your electricity resources, your computing resources, with really, if you're not paying attention, without you knowing. And there were some comments here in this article from this FBI agent that I found enlightening, and I want to share them with you and get your feedback and hear from you guys on, like, what are you seeing? What do you think? Do you agree with this? But one of the things that they say is that our cyber laws are actually way behind the times, and this FBI agent is asking Washington to step up and have hacking penalties, do more with hacking penalties, make them worse than they are today. And then he goes on and he says, we're chasing Russians all the time. So it's no secret, if you watch this channel, that cybercrime is huge. And I obviously am here giving you that information all the time. But I'm also very upfront and very direct with people that we are behind the eight ball at a lot of different levels, not just at the government level with laws, but the government level with protecting their own assets and computer systems. We're behind the eight ball in corporate America at all different levels, at the enterprise level, in the mid-market, in the SMB market. You're all targets. And I have conversations with all these different business leaders at all these different levels. Small to medium-sized businesses think they're too small and they'll never come after them. Middle market, they think that they have things down enough to where they're never going to really have a problem. And then once you go into the enterprise level, they think that they're impenetrable sometimes. When I have some conversations, we're the best of the best, the Fortune 50. You can't hack us. Yet Sony's been hacked, Target's been hacked, Home Depot's been hacked. All these enterprise level companies, publicly traded companies, they've been hacked. Accenture was hacked recently with ransomware. So you're telling yourself stories if you think that just because the stature of your company, or you have a bunch of people hired working in a department, you might have a bunch of D players working in your cybersecurity department. You have no idea. Number one, we have a huge lack of shortage around what's going on with labor in the cybersecurity industry. So you're not going to get the best of the best when you hire people. It's just the reality of the market right now. So I view cybersecurity as a team sport. You should be working with different companies, different entities, trying to figure out, who can really help you and who has the best talent out there to secure your networks. So like this FBI agent said, the laws are behind the times, but so are the things that we're doing, the frameworks that we're following. The frameworks aren't behind, but the implementation of the frameworks is absolutely behind across the board, whether you're in the private sector or the public sector. Some companies are doing it right, don't get me wrong, but the majority of them are not, and that's why these hackers are so successful at what they're doing. So it goes on to say that the growth of ransomware is unbelievable, which is no secret if you watch this channel. At this time, it has fast become the number one thing we're targeting because the amount of money they're making. They are targeting large, medium, and small, medium, and large businesses. So they're hitting everybody. Now, the interesting thing that he said earlier, what I mentioned, and I forgot to kind of dive into it, is we're chasing Russians all the time. So the thing of it is that, like, laws in the United States won't do anything if these criminals are operating around the world. We don't have the jurisdiction to go in after these people. It's an issue, and us changing our laws here isn't really going to do much, because if you can't arrest them and you can't criminally charge them in a U.S. court, where does that really leave you? What does that get you? So I'd love to hear from you guys, like, your thoughts on that. I know I get asked questions about that all the time, and I have to answer questions about that all the time. But, what are your thoughts on going after criminals that do this in other countries? And is this something the world needs to come together on to decide, like, hey, if you commit a computer crime, there's no, borders and countries and things like that won't save you, because we collectively got together and said, for the greater good, this is no good, and we're going to turn everybody over who gets involved in this type of crime. We see this with other crimes. It seems like, this could be a good approach to dealing with this. And then definitely growing. It's growing in organized crime. I talk about this all the time. I have other videos on this channel, how they're highly organized, how they segregate the different roles of the hackers. You can watch my other videos. I have a Revel hacking group exposed that goes into this very deeply, or R-Evil. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. I might get an email from a Syracuse professor that I said Revel instead of R-Evil. So anyway, so guys, now that they're so successful, it's definitely the number one cyber threat we're seeing that's growing. I kind of tend to say it's the number one threat, because if this is making more money and the activity level is higher than what we see in the drug trade, this is going to be a big problem for the next 3 to 5 years. It's something where it's like you can turn the ship around, but it's going to take the ship 3 to 5 years to turn around. And businesses, that's assuming businesses start doing the right thing, right? I liken it to climate change. If you believe in climate change, right? I'm not saying I do or don't, but scientists say you need to start reversing it, and you need to start doing it now, or we're going to get to the point of no return. The point of no return in the ransomware world, in my opinion, what that's going to look like is businesses going out of business left and right because of this stuff. Like, literally businesses not being able to survive because of ransomware. And it's going to be something that's like, oh my God, that business went out of business because they couldn't run it properly, or because, they had an unfortunate event and they couldn't recover from it, like a fire or a flood. Well, you're going to see ransomware be one of those things. And quite frankly, the insurers are getting out of the business. This is not profitable for them. They don't really know how to get their hands around it to make it profitable. And things are just increasing to the direction that doesn't favor insurance companies. The demands that they have to pay out are going up. The frequency that they have to pay out is going up. And they don't want to put a product out there that's going to ruin the reputation of their company when people start saying things like, oh, well, insurance company XYZ wouldn't pay my claim. And, that happens 3 or 4 times. And then people stop going and buying insurance from company XYZ because they don't think their claims are going to pay out. And these are all things that industry is grappling with right now, and trying to figure out and trying to see how can we still offer this product and still make money. The FBI agent goes on to say in this article that I think the number one for companies is the realization that they are being targeted. We hear a lot, why would we be targeted? We're just a small fish. Everybody has been targeted. Schmutz at it. So that Schmutz is the FBI agent. And, Megan Anderson, who's chief security officer for Principal Financial Group, she actually said we're not going to stop cybercrime. I'm not saying we aren't going to try to stop it. I don't think it's reasonable to think cybercrime is going away, but we need to make the awards of cybercrime not worth the risk, right? And I look at this two ways. I do agree with her. I'll give you that. But I look at it two ways. You need to do what she said, but you also need to make the barrier to get in the networks and actually deploy ransomware, because she's looking at it like the reward, right? So if there's a reward, that means the ransomware is already deployed. So lowering the reward, right, and raising what it takes to actually get in is going to make this type of activity, criminal activity, less attractive to these organized crime gangs and cyber criminals, and just one-off dudes that are angry at the world and want to be a criminal. It's a lot of that, is happening too, along with these cyber crime gangs. Don't think that every ransomware event is a cyber crime gang. So, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think about this stuff? Like, what do you think is going on here? Do you agree with this FBI agent? Do you agree with Megan Anderson from Principal Financial Group that ransomware is never going to end? And, it's not, quite frankly. I mean, guys, like, people still break into people's cars and homes. This is always going to be a thing that we have to deal with. You have to make sure your doors are locked. You don't keep your valuables in certain places where they can get to, etc., etc. There's no difference between this kind of crime and crime that you look at when you have your house or your car broken into. You got to secure things. You got to make sure things aren't in plain sight. Sounds like a lot like how you protect your home or you protect your car. There's a lot of things that we can learn from those types of criminal activities and what they're already doing to combat that in the law enforcement world or in the security world. So, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, drop it below. Love to hear your comments. Love to hear what you think about this. But this is an FBI agent who's kind of putting it out there that things are bad and people need to wake up to it. I'll link to the article down below. Remember, like, subscribe, and hit the alert bell if you want to get alerts when I post new videos. See you on the next one.